Okay, so while we're waiting for parts, I pulled off all the painter's tape because I want to see if the doors leak. I don't really have any reason to believe that the weather stripping is going to leak, especially considering that, you know, all the water is supposed to, if it gets past this window, go straight down into the door, hit the bottom down there, and then come out that way, which I don't think it's supposed to, but let's be honest, that's going to happen. So, I pulled off all the, well, not all the painter's tape, pulled off all the painter's tape on the windows, and we're going to see if that makes any difference. And I need to come back and clean some of this smuts up, but I just want to see if any water is still getting in. However, little mini heart attack. I came in here, and right down here in the corner was a chewed up acorn. So I had a mouse in here. And I'm assuming he must have saw this hole down here and hopped up and just sort of swooshed on in, sat up here, ate his acorn, went, yep, and then climbed back down and jumped back out. So I'm going to have to develop some sort of little screen I can put down there that'll keep critters out, but will still let water out. And yeah, still need to brainstorm on that. Maybe there might be something something for the totally wrong application that I can adapt to it. Don't know. All I know is that one's rusted out, that one's 1 1/4, and I'm assuming the one in the trunk is 1 1/4 as well. So we'll try and figure something out. Doesn't need to be fancy, just needs to not dam up water, and it needs to keep critters out. Anyway, but I've just jammed shop towels in there at the moment to try and keep the mice out, or at the very least the mice are going to get in, that I can see that they've been in, so that I can coat the shop towel in strychnine or something, keep them suckers out. The last thing I want is the mice coming up in here and chewing up on a bunch of wiring and making my life harder than it already is, because Lord, it is difficult. You know, I bet these drain screens with a little bit of a stainless steel wire or something just to hold them in place from the bottom should work perfectly. We'll give that a shot. Alright, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm sure you can see that. The mouse is back in here. Wasn't here. I've got my drain plugs because this is still right where I left it. So let's check over there. I have a feeling he might be coming in through the trunk and then coming through the back of the seat or something. So otherwise, I don't know where he is residing at because I looked under the seats and I couldn't find anything that looked like a mouse. So let's check here. Nope, he didn't come through there. But he's up in ya somewhere. So we're going to have to find this little bastard and evict him by force, I think. Prefer not to do that because then my car will smell like a dead rat when I can't find him, but we have our ways. And we shall evict said mouse if need be. I don't see any mousiness going on in here, but we'll tear everything apart and keep looking. Bust out the mouse traps. Alright, this bastard is getting in the engine bay. So he is gonna have to get. There better not be any crap in my intake. Well, the intake appears to be mouse free for the time being, but don't know how long that'll last. Do not want that bastard chewing on my wires again. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking with the drains, and that slightly larger one fits perfectly. And what I'm gonna do is come underneath from the bottom, and I'm just going to run a little bit of stainless steel wire through it just to keep it from bouncing out. Just a little tiny bit through there, just to sort of act like a cotter pin. And over here, we've got the smaller one, which I think should be equally the perfect size. Bam! That's pretty good. Alright, so we have eliminated those as mouse entrance points, I believe. Let me dig down under there and feel around for mice. I don't know if you can see any mice, but I don't see any. I'm not entirely certain how he's coming in. Unless he's like wiggling through the seat or something, or coming up the back of the seat through this hole. I don't see any acorns up here. How is that little bastard getting in here? So anyway, I'm going to keep digging around and try and find my mouse and forcibly evict him if necessary. Well, he's been in my air cleaner because there are acorns stashed inside of it, which is bothersome. So we're going to have to fish those out real quick. And I'm guessing I'm just going to set some mouse traps in here. I'll probably throw one on top of the air cleaner and one or two in the car and maybe one in the trunk, just to try and find this little bastard and get him the fuck out of here. And I'm going to go through the trunk and rip everything up, because the last thing I want is a mouse coming in here, building a nest in my intake, and then me having to buy a completely brand new air cleaner again, or getting in here and chewing up all of my wires, making a nest, dying, and making this thing smell even worse than it already does. Well, I see no signs of mousery in here. Like, none. So I don't think he's in here. So how the hell is he getting in the cab? Unless it's like something on top of the fuel tank or something, and he's like doing sick parkour and getting on top of the fuel tank and climbing through the hole in the back of the seat. But I feel like a mouse cannot resist the urge to destroy cushions, so I have no idea how he's getting in. Or maybe he's already in and he's just eaten. Maybe he's in the vent? Well, I see fuzz in the vent, so that's not a good sign. Yeah, I see some smuts in there. Maybe he's in the HVAC system. Maybe he's in the car and he got in and I have trapped him in and he is living off of his stores inside of the HVAC system, which would be no bueno. Why is it always gotta be fucking something with this thing? Can I just work on the mechanics and not have to deal with bullshit? God damn. Anyway, I'm just gonna buy some mouse traps and just be done with it. Well, I found his secret stash over here. So there is more mousery going on. This all happened since I put the carpets in, which was like less than a month ago. Which seems weird to me because it's been cold as hell for forever. I guess it's as soon as I took this thing off of blocks, he could get up on it somehow. And he is hell-bent on getting murdered. Alright, you messed with the wrong biologist, little mouse. I know your ways and I know how to make you dead. Alright. Dead mice aside. Today we're just gonna play with the alternator belts, see what the tension's like, see how much of a bear it'll be to just put some tension on them. Because it's a Mercedes and there's like 4 bolts per belt. Like the easiest belts to change are none of them. So we're gonna pop this hood open and just see what the belt tension's like and take a quick look and see whether or not we gotta put this thing on blocks to be able to tighten anything. Okay, so how well you can make that out, but yeah, that's way too much. There's supposed to be like a 1/4 inch of play, which would be like that, and instead we have that. So we're supposed to be about there, and instead we have there. So we probably have a full inch of play. So we're gonna have to move the alternator, and hopefully all the bolts aren't missing. Plenty of torque on the power steering pump. I wouldn't bother adjusting that if I didn't have to remove everything. So since we're gonna have to loosen the alternator to be able to tension everything, I think it's just gonna be worth it to just replace all of the belts except the AC compressor belt. Since the AC doesn't work, I'm going to pull the compressor belt because that belt has, god damn, fuck, no tension on it at all deliberately because I was told the compressor doesn't work. So that's probably why we're not charging and probably why the water pump isn't pumping too much. So we're going to have to figure our way down in there. I guess we're going to have to remove the air cleaner and all of this jazz. This is gonna be fun. Why do they gotta make this shit so hard? Why can't everything just be a truck with like 7 foot of room on either side? Like, this side's fine, but why do they gotta jam everything right there? Damn turbos. Alright, now we're going to get into the fuse box, and we're just going to clean up all the contacts and replace all of the fuses since they look all scuzzy with these cheap Chinese ones that I bought. And these are the brass ones. These down here are the aluminum ones, it looks like, which I was told are not correct for this car. So I'm going to be replacing those with brass ones. And we're going to try to put the correct ones back as per this designation, but they're it's kind of hard to follow. I don't know why they have all these color dots in here when they could have just written 8A instead of a square. Anyway, I digress. We're gonna put some fuses in here and hope for the best. All right, old fuses are out. Honestly, doesn't look too horrible in there. I'm just gonna hit it with the brass brush and hope for the best. As you can see over here, fuse number 8 has had some current through it before, just a touch. And I believe that is the one for the blower motor. Yep. So that may explain why our blower motor's being iffy. And yeah, all of these are the aluminum fuses, which are not correct because there's dissimilar metal corrosion and they just sort of fail on their own. I believe this is an original. I think this one is brass. That was the spare fuse in there. And I was missing one fuse, and that was fuse number 10 for the rear window heater. As well as the heated seats. I don't think I have heated seats in here. Well, I know I don't. I don't have switches for it. At least I hope I don't. Had no fuse for 5, which is not anything. And I had one blown fuse, and that was this guy. What was that? 13? This guy was blown, and that was our low beam left, which is that guy, which was out. So that explains why that was out. Great. So I'm just going to get in here with a brass brush, clean up all this corrosion, get all my contacts nice and clean. And new fuses are in lickety-split. Didn't really have to sand too much, thankfully. Just pop the new ones in. As you can see, they're all brass. I had just enough 8-amp white fuses to have one spare left over for the slot. One blue in there, 2 reds in there. I think that's looking pretty snazzy. And yeah, I noticed we had a couple of wrong fuses. Well, I think just one. We had a blue fuse, a 25 amp here for the, was it the cigarette lighter? Yeah, I think it was. No. Yeah, for the cigarette lighter. And that's the same one that this sort of Romex is tapped into as well. So I'm guessing I don't know if this is for the radio, or if it was indeed a bag phone. I don't know. But it's doing that, and we may just immediately pop this fuse. And if we do, then I'll throw a 25 amp in there, and we'll call it a day. Yeah, because I don't want to throw an 8 amp in there, or a 16 in there, and then pop that and then lose an 8 amp. But I'm going to save all of these fuses that are intact just because I have so little white fuses left that I want to have, you know, a couple just on hand in case I need them in a pinch. And I'm not going to test anything today. I'd rather not have to, you know, put out a car fire. And I have faith. It'll work. This is fine. Just don't worry about it. Alright, next day. Show me dubstep. Looks like nothing. We have not cotted the moused. I really want this mouse to fuck off. I tell you what, these dump bees out here don't cut you any slack. That was not there yesterday afternoon. It is the next day. Bastards. You know, I'm often a wasp apologist, but I apologize for all but 2 species of wasp. Yellow jackets, well, I guess that's a genus, and that motherfucker, Polistes annularis. Cunts. Whole lot of them, nothing but cunts. They can rot in hell for all I care. Sting you in a heartbeat. Most of the other wasps, pretty much peaceful. Especially the little small orange and brown ones we have around here. I forget the name, they've got a really complicated name. But they have never bothered me. Those suckers have gone out of their way to sting me. Same with yellow jackets. Well, I don't see any more new acorns. Maybe he found some place that doesn't smell like diesel and isn't covered in transmission fluid. Alright, the hunt continues. See that dude up there? That guy? See how he's staring at you? That's the nice dump bee I was talking about. They don't bother you. You can basically get close enough to grab them and they'll just continue to passive aggressively stare at you. I don't mind them. I try not to bother them because they don't bother me. But fuck the other ones. Alright, we have confirmed mousage, but we struck out. The mouse did take the bait though. So mouse was in here, and we did draw blood. I can see that there, but no idea where the mouse went. He ate my acorn, he ate all the seeds out of there. He tried to grab this one and he got nipped. So we have a wayward mouse, probably missing a foot, somewhere in the car. And I'm going to poke around a bit, see if I can find him. But I have brought more mouse traps, and we are going to attempt to deadify this mouse. Alright, I can't really locate much in the way of additional mouse consumption of nuts. Well, I did put, I think I put 2 acorns back in there, maybe just 1. And I found 2 acorns stashed inside of my seat because I also noticed there's a giant gaping hole in the front of the driver's seat, which is nice. So I have stuck that one of those acorns in this guy right there, which is the one that took his leg off. So if he really likes live oaks, he'll come back and he'll eat those acorns. I stuck that guy over there, put that one over there, reloaded it with a sunflower because he just ate it off of it. And just in case we happen to be dealing with a rat, and I don't think we are, I have put out the big old rat trap and stuck the acorn in that. And hate to say it, but I'm really tempted to put out a dish of antifreeze. So anyway, I think I'm just going to do that. Hate to do it, it's a bit cruel, but I don't think it's as cruel as drowning them, personally. And a lot of people do that. And, you know, it's cruel to mess up a man's project car. I mean, it already is a piece of shit, but, I mean, come on. Just, please. Alright, mouse, I'm fine with y'all living over here. I can hear your kin over here rustling around at my damn rain garden. Stay the fuck out of my car. Alright, so it's been 2 days, and we have no additional mouse signs. So, I'm assuming he's either very wary of my actions and has enough food stored somewhere that he is making do with what he's got. I don't see any additional garbage in the vents. None of the seeds have been touched. None of the traps have been tripped. So either he succumbed to his wounds, or he's nursing his wounds, or he just ain't hungry right now. Or I have a dead mouse inside of the HVAC system, and I'm sure that will smell very, very nice forever. And I will never be able to get it out. Awesome. At least, well, I got an endoscope at least, so I guess I can check eventually, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, I have parts in now. But it ain't the day to do work. I'm just going to pop the hood and attempt to pull the coolant temperature sensor so that I can take that home and bench test it against the one that I have and just compare what readings they give so that I can confirm whether or not it is actually the sensor or if it's something to do with the cable in the ground that's messing me up. But first, we're going to drain the radiator and take a look at the coolant because I'm going to have to drain it anyway to get the coolant temperature sensor out. And I just have straight water in it, and it's supposed to get down to the 30s tomorrow for some reason. And it's like April, which is weird for here. So anyway, let's see how nasty this is. So far, so good. Does this even come out? Okay, well, I'm gonna go pop the rad cap, but water looks clean. It's a weird plug. That is so much nicer looking. It still looks horrible, and also remember, that is straight water. There is no antifreeze in here. It's just green because. So that's much nicer looking. So I'm gonna continue draining, and hopefully it all looks that good. I don't get any more chunks. Only a very minor amount of chunks, and that's what it actually looks like fetid urine. But it's translucent now. I can see the bottom. That's progress. Probably only needs to be flushed another 700 times, but we're getting there. So anyway, I'm going to leave that off and come over here, pop this plug off right here, and hopefully I should be able, nope, I'm not going to be able to get the socket on it, I don't think, but should be able to get a wrench on it at the very least and break that free. Alright, got her out, and I lost the crush washer down in there. You can see right in there, but we're not going to worry about it. It came off, and that's all that matters. And yeah, that didn't take much fuss at all. I just grabbed the all 16ths, did that, and or just gave it a little bit of torque, came right out. Probably was only in there with 10 foot-pounds. And she's pretty nasty. Not going to argue that. And there is noticeable visible corrosion on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it home and we're going to bench test it with a multimeter to see if it has the same impedance or however the heck I'm supposed to test it as the new one. And what we're hoping to see is that this one is wildly different in some capacity, and we'll look up what direction it's supposed to be. And yeah, and the other way that we can test this is I can go inside, boil a pot of water, take it on out here, and take a lead, hook it to the body of this, stick that over there onto the block somewhere, some grounded point, plug this into the plug, and then dip it into the water, confirm the temperature of the water with the soil thermometer, then dip that into the water and see what it reads on the dash, and then do the same with the new plug and see if they're the same. And we'll do that after this step. So anyway, I'm gonna haul this back home and work on it, and hopefully we don't have a dead mouse in the HVAC. Alright, so I've got this whole fancy setup to test the two temperature sensors, and we hit a snag. New temperature sensor doesn't work the same way, so I can't actually test it. Yeah, either that or it's totally fucking broken, because whenever I try and test it, the impedance is nothing. It's this right here and the tip up here measure exactly the same, which is annoying. However, this guy does test how it's supposed to. And we have all of these readings right here that we were going to go through and compare the two, but we're just going to do the original one. And lean that guy there and try and touch this guy here, and it'll have a fit till I hold it. And it's telling me about 600 ohms at 20 degrees C, and it's supposed to be from this napkin I have here from a random board that I pulled that I'm pretty sure is in reference to an OM617. It's supposed to be 2500 ohms at 20 degrees C. So we're going to test this, and we're just going to see how bad it is, and then I'm going to verify that all these numbers are correct for an OM617 coolant temperature sensor. And anyway, can't test this guy, I'll show you. Put this thing up here and then touch it to the body, and it's just being ornery now. Yeah, see, it's just no ohms. It shouldn't do that. Anyway, I think I may have a bad sensor, but we're going to test the old one here with this water, which is a temperature. I just turned it on, and we're going to try and get this to about 80 degrees C and test it there. Anyway, we've got it stable near operating, and I feel like a dummy because I just realized that this was Fahrenheit and not Celsius. So we're going to test it, and if this is a good gauge, we should see something close to about 300. And I don't think it's a good gauge, and I'm also not 100% certain that these are correct, but we're going to test it. Alright, let's see if I can do this without knocking everything over suddenly. Yeah, it's showing me about 90 ohms, which is probably, this looks like it's halving every 20. If you ask me. So probably close to 120. And if this is at operating and it was showing me close to 120 whenever I was running it, that makes a lot of sense. Alright, it's at 130 degrees Fahrenheit now, which is somewhere around about 55 degrees, and it's reading 140 for me, which would be about, oh, what's that? That's a little less than 600. Would be 4 times that. So, supposed to be here-ish 700 range, and instead we're getting below max operating temperature. So yeah, it's junk. I don't know why I'm continuing to test this. I went and dropped this straight on top of the probe on the ground, and now it reads 80 ohms instead of 0. So I'm sure I just broke something, and now this one won't work either. Great, that was a $25 sensor, but we're going to throw it in there and hope it works anyway. Alright guys, I fucked up. I ordered the wrong fucking sensor. This is the switch commutator interrupter. I think this is the temperature sensor for the auxiliary pump and the auxiliary fan, which is on top of the outflow for the water pump. Right there by just above the thermostat. Just sort of, you're looking at the front of the engine, sort of right there. So anyway, I got the wrong gauge. So guess what? We're going to wait on parts again. So I'm going to order the correct gauge from Rock Auto, because I decided to order a slightly more expensive gauge, because I decided, you know, I'm not going to cheap out on the temperature sensor, so I went and bought the, you know, one from a brand I trusted, or one that from a brand that hasn't fucked me over yet, and I ordered the wrong damn gauge. So we're going to spend half as much on a different gauge and spend the same amount after shipping gets factored in. So great, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to pack all this garbage in. Alright, further digging has been done. This is wrong. This is all completely fucking bullshit. This is for a completely different sensor. Not entirely sure which sensor it is. Also, these aren't even really sensors like this is. They don't have impedance. That's why when I test this, it has low impedance. And then when I heat it up, it has massive impedance. It's because this is a switch. It heats up to a certain point, and then it loses connectivity, which breaks a circuit, which tells the computer to turn on a fan or turn on the pump or something like that. That's all that does. Same goes with the block temperature sensor, the block metal temperature sensor. I believe that one is just a switch as well, and it tells the light on the dashboard for the glow plug relay to shut off. Something like that. I think that's what it was, or it may also have resistance, but it's either it's a switch or it's these numbers. But anyway, this one is fucking different. So I was able to find someone online who was indicating, or who tested theirs and confirmed that their gauge and their sensor worked, and he got some different values for his sensor, and I think they're actually fairly comparable to what mine is putting out. I need to double check and verify. I need to write all this stuff down, and we're boiling this again so we can test it. And yeah, let's try this one more time. Alright, so we're close to operating. Let's test this sucker again. Alright, I think I might finally have it reading. I think it keeps changing on me. Great, fuck you, probe. Anyway, we're going to call it 100 at operating temp, so 80 degrees C, which is lower than it's supposed to be. I think. It was trying to read 75 there, so I'm going to test it again. It may be that our sensor is just fine, and we have to tear the dash apart and fix a bad ground. I really need to invest in some fucking leads. Alright, so it fought me, so we jank-ass rigged up some leads, and it's reading 89 ohms at whatever the hell temperature. I think it was 180. Alright, so we're reading 93 at 160-ish. I'm going to heat that back up to 180. Yeah, so that's... Quit. So that's somewhere in here in this range. So it's not reading off. It's reading a little bit on the low side, I think. Or on the high side, it's reading higher impedance than I think it should, but it's very much within spec. I think it's a 5% tolerance. So I think our sensor's fine. I think it's a bad ground, or possibly that the connectors for the temperature sensor for the block temperature sensor, I can't keep that dang thing straight. Could be that the plug for the coolant temperature sensor and the plug for the block temperature sensor are switched. And if the two are both impedance probes, or both impedance sensors, but they operate on different magnitudes, i.e. this, it could be that I have my plug swapped somehow for some reason. I don't know why anyone would do that. And it's just playing hell with everything. Alright, so we're just a hair under operating temperature. And we are reading just a hair over nominal spec. So temp gauge is fine. It's the something in the cluster itself or a ground somewhere in there that's messed up. Oh joy. Alright, so I cleaned off all the scale with just using a wood screw as sort of like a rough rasp file thing just to break the scale up, and then came back after it with wire brushes, and yeah, it's just cleaned up. And I just went ahead and ordered a new sensor because it was like $9 for the sensor and $3 shipping. So I'm at the point on the scale, you know, the 5-step scale of loss. I'm well past the point of denial. I'm already past the point of anger, and I'm in the bargaining stage where I'm just willing to throw as much fucking money as I need to at this thing to make the problem go away. And after this comes depression, and then finally acceptance of the fact that the car's just going to be overheating the entire time. And I'm kind of already there. I'm doing everything simultaneously. I am denying that the car's actually overheating. I am angry that the car is overheating. I am wasting my money bargaining away the problem, and I'm depressed, and I've just accepted it. So anyway, I'm going to go run to the auto parts store and try and find a crush washer, and just to be able to huck it back on there in case I got to move the car in the meantime. And so I can test it and do other stuff over the weekend without spraying water everywhere. And maybe we'll do that eventually one day, because I know Rock Auto's not going to let me return that because it's too small and doesn't cost as much. And they're going to give me like $5 back anyway. So we'll just keep it in case it fucking blows up. Why not? Spend all the money. Oh yeah, and I confirmed that it's not the metal temperature sensor, because that should have a higher impedance. So if those two wires were crossed, that would cause the gauge to bottom out, not to peg out. So it's not that. It's something wrong with the like two wires between the instrument panel, the ground for the instrument panel, and the gauge. So I'm thinking it's just the fact that the gauge or the instrument cluster is covered in rust, and the only thing that works is the fuel gauge sort of and the temp gauge sort of. I'm assuming there's just a bad ground in there because there's a bunch of fucking water or something in there. So we're going to have to pull the instrument cluster out and play around with all of that. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get our oil pressure sensor to work. That would be nice. Alright, boys and girls, we have success. We have a dead mouse. We have captured the famed dubstep artist, Dead Mouse. Well, this is his great-great-great-grandfather, Dead Mouse 1. Yeah, I think this is an old field mouse, which is regrettable, or it could be an American deer mouse. Anyway, we're going to huck it on over there for the ants. Also, we have a garage now. That happened. And yeah, I can rest easy at night knowing I don't have to deal with mice anymore. Awesome. I hope. However, we might have additional mouseage, so the traps are back in. The new temp sensor is in. Additional dump bees have been eliminated. New temp sensor is in the block. Stainless steel wire is here for the floor pan screen plug things. Here's my makeshift cotter pin. And there it is on the car. And there's the other one. And there's the other one. Here comes the coolant. And there goes the coolant, I think. Yep. There she is, full up. Well, I see no additional signs of mousage. He didn't even take the obvious bait. So I think that was just a false alarm, and I just forgot to clean some crap out. And we're going to hope that's the case. But real first, if this battery isn't stone cold dead, we're going to try and fire this up and test on that temp gauge, so that we can figure out whether or not it's the contacts on the instrument panel that are bad, or whether it was the gauge, because the gauge seemed to test just fine. So I have a sneaking suspicion that it's the instrument panel, because everything else on the instrument panel, except for the fuel gauge, sometimes doesn't work. And yeah, that'll be annoying to get out, but it won't be impossible to get out, so let's get to it. Let's give it a shot. Alright, moment of truth. Will it spark? Oh, that's a good sign. Alright, don't let me down, 30-year-old starting fluid. Alright, one more glow plug cycle. That'll be number 5. Hopefully that's all it takes. Or the battery's dead. One of the two. It ain't a diesel unless you got a ether holder. Alright, contact. Yep. We got nothing for the battery. Shit. Afraid of that. I'm gonna go wiggle the terminals and give it another shot. Will you shut up, Beep Boop? Alright, yeah, battery's dead. That's why we're fixing to work on those alternator belts. And, yeah, I don't feel like working on those anymore tonight, so we're calling it here. Well, it's a good thing I put that out there, because we got another one. Bastards. And it looks like the mouse chewed partway through this wire for the glow plug relay over the last night, because now the glow plugs don't work. I don't get a light, and the relay does not click. Fuse is still fine. But this one wire right here is halfway chewed through, and now I get nothing out of the glow plugs. Great. Starts with either though. And with the new sensor, we're idling at about 90 degrees C again, so that didn't make a damn difference. So either the engine is actually overheating, which we confirmed it is not, or we just have bad ground impedance issues. Still don't know what's wrong with the glow plug. The brake pedal is extra stiff now. I think we might have a vacuum leak issue or something as of the moment, because I don't think we have a brake booster. And yeah, let's go feel on the engine and see if it actually is 90 degrees C or not. About 80 degrees out today, so engine should be running hotter than it was before. All right, let's give her a feel. I'd say that's 176. I don't think it's whatever 90 is, 190 something, because that would be close to boiling. It's hot enough that I can keep my hand on it for a minute, but, you know, not that I can leave it on there. Ooh. That's actually pretty high. I think it might actually be 90 degrees C. Anyway, we'll shut her down and we'll look into it at a later date. Yeah, she's saying 95 at idle. I don't have the thermometer with me, so I can't test it, but I think we got some wires crossed or something. I have a feeling that the mice were actually behind the instrument panel this whole time, and that they've just fucked shit up even worse. Because I got some sort of weird thing going on with the brake pedal. It's not going to do it now, but it was giving me the, like, key and ignition door open buzzer thingy with the key in the run position a couple of times. And if I jiggled the brake pedal, it would go away. So I think there's something, I think we got a short or something. Something's fucked. We'll look into it, but this is enough for now. Okay, it's the seatbelt buzzer that's messing with me. And that's all I have to do to make it go away. Also, glow plug light works now. So I don't know what that was about, but that's new. See, it normally would shut off there, but it's not. And if I just give it a little bit of it stops. Yeah. I don't fucking know. Don't ask me. All right. My ugly mug is back in the frame, which means that's the end of the episode. This video is running long. I'm going to try and keep these videos not an hour long or 45 minutes long every single time. That's just because I'm long-winded and I take forever to do things, and I just need to shut up and do them. And yeah, so I'm going to end the video here at way too long, where I accomplish absolutely nothing the entire time. We're going to test that temp sensor on the next episode. That's the first thing we're going to do if we don't catch another mouse. And yeah, hopefully adjust the alternator and the water pump belts. And yeah, do a bunch of other stuff that I should just show you when I'm done, instead of just rambling for 40 minutes about how I'm going to do it, and then I don't do it, and then I do it again in 6 months. And yeah, that's it. Like the video, go down there, give it a like, leave a comment, insult me, do whatever you want, call me mean names. It helps viewer engagement, so it helps me out, so go do that, go insult me. And yeah, if you want to see the continuation of this saga of garbage, you got to subscribe, go down there, smash the button, and I'll see you on the flip side. Till next time, I'm out. Psych, we got title. Aw yeah, Tom out. I hear you running around in there, little mouse. You better stay out of my car. That's right, you better run. Yeah. There you go. Oh, that's a rat. That's a big old rat. Look at that little rat. Ah! There he goes. That's a cotton rat. I ain't worried about no cotton rat. Cotton rat can't even fit in the car. Things like the size of a damn gopher. Anyway, time out again now for the third time.